Jai Shri Gurudev. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Ravian, Assistant Professor, Department of PG Studies, BGS IMS, Chikbalapur. Dear students, in this video I am going to explain 14 marks problem under the head Income from House Property in the subject Income Tax. Here is the question. Let me explain the question first. From the following particulars of house properties of Mr. Rajesh, compute his income from house properties for the assessment year 2019-20. So in this question, assessee is Mr. Rajesh and he has given some details regarding his house properties, and we have to calculate income from house property for the assessment year 2019-20. So here is the further details. HP1, HP2, HP3, HP4. So totally Mr. Rajesh has 4 house properties. Okay, so the details regarding that 4 house properties is municipal rental value, fair rental value. So these two is to be considered for the calculation of notional rent, and expected, for the calculation of expected rent, standard rent is to be considered. Actual rent is to be considered while calculating the actual rent. That is, actual rent per month is given in this question. Actual rent per month. So if per month or monthly basis is given, you have to multiply with 12, then you will get an annual rent. And then local tax paid is given. Local tax is nothing but municipal tax. So but here it is not clear that who paid that local taxes. So if anything is not mentioned, whether the local taxes is paid by the owner or tenant, you should consider that local tax or municipal tax is paid by owner. Repair charges should be ignored. Unrealized rent should be deducted from actual rent. And vacancy period is 2 months for house property 3, and other house properties is vacancy period is nil. So vacancy period loss has to be calculated by multiplying with actual rent. So actual rent 1500 for house property 3, multiply with 12, you will get a vacancy period loss. And further information, HP1 is used for own business. See, if any house property is occupied for own business or profession by the owner, that is not taxable in the head income from house property. That is taxable in the head income from business or profession. So HP1 is ignored in this question. You have to ignore HP1. No calculations for HP1 because that is not taxable in the head income from house property, but that is taxable in the head income from business or profession. And second, HP2 is self-occupied for his own residence. So own residence. So owner, that is Mr. Rajesh, occupied house property 2 for his own residence, so that NAV is considered as nil. You have to taken NAV as nil, and then deductions is allowed for that. Standard deduction is not applicable, only the interest on borrowed loan is applicable for the HP2 because it is a self-occupied property for the residence. And HP3 and HP4 is let out. HP3 is let out for business and HP4 is let out for a residential purpose. So anyhow, Mr. Rajesh borrows rupees 1 lakh at the rate 10% per annum for the construction of house property 2 on 1/6/2010. So Mr. Rajesh borrowed 1 lakh rupees loan at the rate of 10% per annum, at the rate of interest 10%. That too for construction of house property 2, not for the house property 1 or 3 or 4. It is applicable only for house property 2. And HP2 is a self-occupied residential property, self-occupied property for his own residence. So that interest on borrowed loan comes under deduction under section 24 for the self-occupied property. And the construction of all the house properties is completed in May 2016. That is, doesn't matter. and they asked you to determine the taxable income from house property for the assessment year 2019-20. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಈ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ HP1 ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ಓನ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಹೆಡ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ. HP2 ಓನ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ NAVನೇ ನಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. HP3 HP4 ಲೆಟ್ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ಸು ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಯೂಶ್ವಲ್ಲು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಈಗ ಆನ್ಸರನ್ನು ನೋಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಆನ್ಸರ್. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ದ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ದ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಯುಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಬರೀಲೇಬೇಕು. ಕಾಂಪ್ಯುಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫರ್ದರ್ assessee name, his residential status, previous year, assessment year has to be right. So assessee name is Mr. Rajesh, his residential status is resident, previous year 2018-19, assessment year 2019-20. Okay, then you have to draw the table. So here I have drawn 4 columns. One is for particulars, second is for HP2, and next HP3, HP4. ಯಾಕೆ HP1 ಬರೆದಿಲ್ಲ? ಐ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ಡ್ ಯು. HP1 ಈಸ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೈಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಓನ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಹೆಡ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ HP2 ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆರೆ ಎಳೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ NAVನೇ ನಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೈಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಹಿಸ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೈಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅದು ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೈ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ NAVನೇ ನಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ HP3 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ HP4 ಲೆಟ್ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಯೂಶ್ವಲಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ವಿ. ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟು ನಾವು GAV ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. GAV ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ನೋಷ್ನಲ್ ರೆಂಟು, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ರೆಂಟು, ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ರೆಂಟನ್ನು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಫಸ್ಟು ನೋಷ್ನಲ್ ರೆಂಟ್. So here notional rent means fair rental value or municipal rental value, whichever is higher. Fair rental value or municipal rental value, whichever is higher will be the notional rent. Okay, so fair rental value for HP3 20,000, for HP4 18,000, municipal rental value 18,000, 19,000. So in this whichever is higher, that is 20,000, 19,000. So the resulting amount is called notional rent. Okay, and next notional rent and standard rent has to be compared, and the resulting amount will be expected rent. So notional rent is 20,000, 19,000. Standard rent, it is given in the question, 19,000, 20,000. So whichever is less will be expected rent. So expected rent is 19,000, 19,000. So in these two you have to compare 19,000, 19,000 we got. 20 or 19, 19,000 is the lesser amount. 19 or 20, 19,000 is the lesser amount, like that. And next actual rent. In order to compute that actual rent, you have to compare expected rent and actual rent. Whichever is higher will be the actual rent. So expected rent, as we calculated, 19,000, 19,000. Then actual rent, so here 16,000 and 16,500 and 21,600. How comes that amount? Here is the calculations. So actual rent for HP3 and this is for HP4. So for HP3 1,500 is the actual rent into 12, 18,000, and minus 1,500, that is unrealized rent. So you will get a 16,500 as the actual rent. And HP4 1,800 per month into 12, you will get 21,600. So that is mentioned here. Actual rent 16,500 and 21,600. So now compare these two, whichever is higher. 19,000 or 16,500. So 19,000. 19,000 or 21,600. 21,600 is the higher amount. And next you have to deduct vacancy period loss. Vacancy period loss. How comes that vacancy period loss? You have to multiply vacancy period with actual rent per month. So here 3,000 is the vacancy period loss. So how comes that 3,000 rupees, in the sense 2 months is the vacancy period, multiply with actual rent, that is 1,500, you'll get a 3,000 rupees. So 3,000 rupees is the vacancy period loss for house property 3. And house property 4, vacancy period is not given, so that nil. If you deduct that vacancy period loss, you will get a gross annual value, so that is 16,000, 21,600. And then municipal taxes paid by owner has to be deducted from the gross annual value. So municipal taxes, so in the question, local tax paid given. Okay, so local tax paid by the owner 1,800 for house property 3, and for house property 4 1,900. So if you deduct that amount, you will get a net annual value, which is highlighted here. Net annual value, that is 14,200, 19,700. Then you have to deduct deductions under section 24. So under section 24 you have two deductions. One is standard deduction, second one is interest on borrowed loan. So first standard deduction at the rate of 30% on NAV, net annual value mele 30%. Okay, so for house property 1, as I explained you, directly NAV is taken as nil, but interest on borrowed loan is provided. So interest on loan is 10,000. How comes this 10,000? Here is the calculations. So as I explained, if any house property occupied by the owner for his own residence, NAV is to be taken as nil, and deductions under section 24 is allowed. Standard deduction is not applicable, but interest on borrowed loan is applicable. So even for that you have to compare with maximum limit or ceiling limit. So here is the calculation. So deductions under section 24, interest on borrowed loan or maximum limit 30,000, whichever is less. So whichever is less will be the deductible amount. So your interest on borrowed loan 1 lakh into 10%, 10,000, and 30,000 is the ceiling limit. So whichever is less, that is 10,000. So 10,000 here considered as a deductible amount. 10,000 is the interest on borrowed loan. And standard deduction is for house property 3, 30% on 14,200. So 14,200 into 30%. So you will get a 4,260. And for house property 4, 19,700 into 30%, you will get 5,910. That is standard deduction. And interest on borrowed loan is not applicable because no loan is taken for the construction of house property 3 and 4. Only loan is taken for house property 2. And next, if you deduct this amount of deductions under section 24, you will get a taxable income from house property. So for house property 2, minus 10,000, because only the deduction is allowed. Deduction 10,000 is allowed, so that is a minus amount. And for house property 3, 9,940 is the income. And for house property 4, 13,790 is the income. So now the total income from house property is, so for here is the total income, so that is taxable income, total taxable income from house property 9,940 plus 13,790 minus 10,000, totally 13,730 you will get as income from house property, that is taxable income from house property. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೊಡಲಿ ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟು ಸೇಮ್, ಇದೇ ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟನ್ನೇ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಸು, ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಸ್, ಈ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇರಲಿ, ಬಟ್ ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲಮಲ್ಲಿರೋದು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ fair rental value or municipal rental value, whichever is higher will be the notional rent. Notional rent or standard rent, whichever is less will be the expected rent. Expected rent or actual rent, whichever is higher will be the actual rent. In that you have to deduct vacancy period loss and you will get a gross annual value. In that you have to deduct municipal tax paid by the owner, then you will get a net annual value. In that you have to deduct deductions under section 24, that is standard deduction at the rate of 30% on NAV and interest on borrowed loan. Finally you will get a taxable income from house property. ಸೊ ಏನೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಆಲ್. ಜೈ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುದೇವ್.